Okay, welcome back to our second geometry remediation lesson. Looking at the objective for this lesson, given a diagram of angles with different predetermined characteristics, students will be able to determine which angles are supplementary and complementary with 100% accuracy. Well, before we can do that, there's two vocabulary terms that you need to know in order to determine which angles are supplementary and complementary. And those two vocabulary words would be supplementary angles and complementary angles. Now, some of you might already know what supplementary and complementary angles are, but just as a good reminder, complementary angles. These are two angles that add to equal 90 degrees. Now, if it's a 90-degree angle, we call that a right angle. So complementary angles are two angles that add to equal 90 degrees, and they make a right angle. Okay, supplementary angles. These are two angles that add to equal 180 degrees. And we call a 180-degree angle, we call that a straight angle. And a straight angle is nothing more than a straight line. Okay, so let's take a look at our first example here. In the following diagram, which angles are complementary, which angles are supplementary? Well, remember, complementary angles, supplementary angles. Complementary angles are two angles that add to equal 90 degrees, and supplementary angles are two angles that add to equal 180 degrees. So looking at this here, looking at angle 1 and 2, angle 1 and 2 combined form what we call a straight angle, which we know equals 180 degrees. So the two supplementary angles here, the pair of supplementary angles, would be angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, now looking at angles 3, 4, and 5. So looking at angles 3, 4, and 5 going in this direction. You can see that angles 3, 4, and 5 make a straight angle once again. So we know that this angle measurement right here is 180 degrees. So this angle measurement right here, this straight angle, is 180 degrees. The whole thing, angles 3 and angle 4 and angle 5 equal 180 degrees when I add them together. Okay, now angle 3 over here has this little box in there. Now this box signals that angle 3 is a right angle. And we know that a right angle measures 90 degrees. A right angle is 90 degrees. So we know that the measure of angle 3 equals 90 degrees. So if the measure of angle 3 is 90 degrees, so from here to here is 90 degrees. This little angle here, angle 3, is 90 degrees. And we know that this whole larger angle here is 180. So this here is 90. All of it is 180. That means 4 and 5 together have to be 90 degrees. So since 4 and 5 together are 90 degrees, they would be our complementary angles. Angle 4 and angle 5 are complementary. Okay, looking at example 2. Once again, we're identifying complementary and supplementary angles. We see here that angle 4 and 5 come together to form a straight angle. We know that a straight angle has a measurement of 180 degrees, so we know that angle 4 and angle 5 are supplementary. Now, once again, looking at angles 1, 2, and 3 on the other side of this diagram, we see that they once again form a straight angle. Angles 1, 2, and 3 together form a straight angle. So that means that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is going to equal 180. Because since 1, 2, and 3 form a straight angle, and we know that straight angles equal 180 degrees, whenever I add these three angles up, 1, 2, and 3, they have to equal 180 degrees. Now, looking at the diagram, we see this box in there for angle 1 again. Okay, so this box right here, it represents that angle 1 is a right angle. So this angle right here, that is a right angle. So we know that this angle here is going to be 90 degrees. So if angle 1 is 90 degrees, and we know that 1, 2, and 3 together equal 180, that means 2 and 3 together must also be 90 degrees. So that means angle 2 and angle 3 are complementary. Looking at the last example here for this remediation lesson, we see that angles 2 and 3 form a straight angle. So those two angles are going to add together to be 180. So that means angle 2 and angle 3 are supplementary. Looking on the other side of the diagram, angle 1, 4, and 5 combined form a straight angle. We see here that angle 1 is a right angle because of this box. So angle 1 is a right angle. And since 1, 5, and 4 form a straight angle, that means that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 5 plus the measure of angle 4 is going to equal 180 because they form that straight angle. And if angle 1 is a right angle, that means its measure is going to be 90 degrees. So if this right here, from just angle 1 is 90 degrees, that means 5 and 4 must also be 90 degrees. So those would be your two complementary angles. That concludes the second remediation lesson here in geometry. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask your math teacher.